Mic'd up.
Highlights from Lowlifes. Highlights from Lowlifes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Highlights from a Lowlifes. Tonight we've got four of us again. We're back to normal. Mr. Mr. Tiger, Terry Lee, has joined the group for this evening's topic. We got Marty Brown, Rob Lannerman, and I am Rob Weber. Tonight's topic, while enjoying our almanac beverages, is top 5 sports redemption stories. So, according to Google, I just looked it up. A sports redemption is when an athlete or team overcomes adversity or past failures and makes a triumphant comeback. Now, we were talking about this last week. That could be during a season, during a series, or during a game. And there's some famous in-game redemptions. Somebody doing something really bad at the beginning and coming back and redeeming themselves. So there's a lot of these. We made it all the major sports, but there's some good Olympic stories that could be jumped into. We could try a lot of these. And we've got a few folks who have already left us comments. And if you're using the app right now, hit the microphone at the bottom of the screen, and you've got 30 seconds to leave us your redemption stories. Give us a couple if you like. Okay. All right. Thanks again for joining us. Let's see. Marty, what is your number 5 sports redemption story?
Is that the subject this week? I got something else again. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you and Tiger talk?
I'm flashing my Tiger unprepared card. See,
okay.
The wheel. There he is. See the Z? That's because he's asleep. That's all right.
A 5. Oh, Terry gave him one.
It's just a little stat that I found that was intriguing. Is that when this Hall of Famer first got to Major League Baseball, he was touted as the next big thing, the great coming, and everything like that. He was hitless in his first 12 at bats. Hitless, this big star. He finally gets a home run off Warren Spahn, and he turns out to be the great Willie Mays. Interesting. His first 12 at bats, nothing.
Yeah.
So it takes a little time. So I really thought that Mays was such a great hitter that he would just burst onto the scene. No, it took a little time for him to get going.
I think what I heard is he went 1 for his first 24.
Right.
And he went to the manager and begged to be sent back to the minors. that the game was more fun for him in the minors, and that there wasn't as much pressure, so they had to talk him into staying with the big league team. So,
what year? Yeah. What year was Willie Mays' rookie year?
52, right?
I just took 51.
51.
So, just to put it in perspective, we're closer to 2051 than we are to 1951.
Wow.
And we're still
all right, Marty.
All right.
Good start.
Okay.
Good start.
Since you're wise ass remark, Lannerman, why don't you take it?
All right. I'm happy to, because I'm going to tell you the story of Alvaro Munera.
Huh?
It sounds like you've got it. It's like a sickness. I'm sorry, I can't go to school today. I have Alvaro Munera.
Yeah. Oh God.
I drink the water.
Do you have a sinus infection?
So Alvaro Munera grew up in Medellin, Colombia. His father took him to his first bullfight at the age of 4. He made up his mind to become a bullfighter at 12 and began his career at the Medellin Fair when he was 17 years old. So it didn't take long, however, for him to become aware of the cruelty of the sport. At one point, he killed a pregnant cow and watched in horror as the fetus was extracted.
Ooh.
And he was ready to quit, but friends and family encouraged him to press on, and so he did a little further, looking for fame and fortune and all of that. Um, at one point, however, he was gored by a bull and paralyzed. So he was sent to the United States for physical therapy. And while in the US, began attending college. Um, and having moved to a country which is, the US is pretty much against bullfighting, it's not a common thing around here. He faced hostility from the doctors and nurses and a lot of people, all who kept telling him, "You should be paralyzed. You deserve it." So that's a pretty tough pill to swallow. But realizing he had kind of found a safe space in the U.S. To renounce the sport, and he was a big star in Colombia over the sport. He renounced the sport and admitted that he agreed with the animal rights activists, and now he's one of the best known international animal rights activists and fights against the abuse of animals in sporting situations and all of that stuff. He's really it's kind of a interesting redemption story, way outside the lines we would normally talk about on this show, but it really
Yeah.
struck me. So um, there you go. Yeah, Alvaro Munera. Now you know.
Wow. Wow. Would you say now you know for? Do you want that rainbow to go across the screen now?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
tonight
Yeah.
on a very special episode.
Is
Uh,
bullfighting a sport?
Yes, it is. I looked
Okay.
it up just now. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Just
all right. Well,
just
I guess that leaves, or
validating
let's
it.
send it over, I should say, to.
Alrighty, my sportsman here. Uh, he watched in 2000. He was a Stanford star, and in November 2009, he watched his world crumble around him. He had 14. He's a 14-time majors winner. He was possibly the biggest sporting star in the world. Can you guess?
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
That's right. It's Tiger Woods. He had it all. Then he destroyed his reputation. His wife left him. His sponsors left him. Uh, After
his
the next 8 years, his health deserted him too.
his wife was
For
good with a wedge.
for her, I thought it was a 5 or 6 iron. Yeah, more like a wedge. 4 back surgeries with his career on the blink. Uh, a DUI, crashed his car. He just thought. Well, we thought it was over for him, and I don't have too much sympathy for. So there's a lot of these guys that we're gonna talk about. I don't have a lot of sympathy for them, but they did redeem themselves.
Yep.
Anyway, in 2019, he won his first major. He came back from with a one-stroke victory at the Masters. His kids, everybody was happy, and Tiger Woods redeemed himself. But, see, I have an issue with this topic because these are the guys with just trillions of dollars, and
Yes. Yes.
and
Hmm.
you know they, they have every opportunity, every way of redeeming themselves as far as physical therapy and operations and all that. All right, Tiger Woods, number 5 for me.
Yeah, it's a big one. A lot of people talk about that one, even though not everybody likes Tiger Woods as a person. But that was pretty big. That comeback.
Yeah.
His body was a mess. All
Uh,
right, I got a baseball one.
all right.
Um, Bill Mazeroski was is a Hall of Fame second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and a lot of people talk about his statistics not really warranting him being in the Hall of Fame. What people don't know is what an excellent fielding second baseman he was. He kind of redefined the position in baseball. So the Pirates get into the World Series in 1960, and Bill Mazeroski makes a crucial misplay early in the game that let the Yankees back into the game. His teammates said that he spent the rest of the game apologizing for having made that miscue. But sure enough, late in the game, he gets to redeem himself in Game 7 of the World Series, which is, the ultimate moment to be able to do that and hit that big homer over the left field wall at Forbes Field, beating the Yankees. So all was forgotten, and Mr. Mazeroski was able to, um, rejoice and forget about that error that he made earlier in the game. So it's good. All
Yeah,
right.
good pick. Good pick.
We got our number fives in the can. Let's go on to round 4. Robbie, you want to start off?
Sure, I'll stay in the baseball theme with this one. Nine. Oh no, sorry. 2004. The Padres selected this player who was a shortstop as their first pick in the draft. It took him 12 years to finally make it to the major leagues, which in and of itself is a redemption story. Toiling and struggling in the minor leagues for that long to finally get to the major leagues. But he made his debut as a pitcher. But he bounced around the farm systems a little bit, and he dealt with some off-field issues, including several instances involving alcohol. Clearly not Almanac beer. He would have been a
Oh yeah.
you can tell when incidents is in the sentence, it's not involving Almanac. But in 2012, he was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in prison for a drunk driving incident. So while in prison, he kind of reevaluated everything, decided he really wanted to try to play again. And he knew the odds were against him. He'd already had his opportunities and everything. But in December of 2015, the Texas Rangers signed him, and in less than a year later, he was pitching in the American League Division Series. He went 7-2 that season as a relief pitcher, pitching in 62 innings and recorded a 2.48 ERA. He went in to pitch 6 more years. Very solid, serviceable major league reliever until he got injured at the end of his career. But Matt Bush is the player, played for the Rangers and the Brewers. I mean, just 2 redemption stories in one with that. I gave you the double whammy there. 12 years in the minor
Yeah.
leagues, and then overcoming prison time to make it all the way back. So
Yeah.
good story.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to be
It's-
funny on this show. This is killing me.
Well, it's back to what Terry said though. Sometimes it's hard to root for these guys because of what they've done. You want them to take responsibility for themselves, and it sounds like Bush did that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I was totally aware of that guy being a pitcher. I did not know any of his backstory, so that was really interesting finding that out. So, Marty Brown, what do you got?
This one is kind of as a number 4, kind of a local, but it always was kind of close to me because I remember seeing this guy at the beginning. Well, it wasn't his beginning, but it was college. Pat Burrell played for Miami Hurricanes and was the Golden Spikes Award winner, which is the best college baseball player that year, 1998. And I was at the College World Series where they played in the finals against LSU. So you always knew this guy was going to go somewhere. And sure enough, 2 years later, he's with the Phillies and had a decent breakout season. He was number 4 in the Rookie of the Year, and he put up some solid years for the Phillies. until things started to peter out in 2007, 2008, where he was released and he was done, so to speak. Then he goes to Tampa Bay and has mediocre. I think it was their stats are here. I think it was uh, 221 with 14 home runs. Not really much anything. But then in 2010 he comes to San Francisco, and we all. And I guess that this is why I'm saying it was a little personal. He was a key catalyst for the Giants in that first World Series run. Had a couple of big hits, and the division series against Atlanta had a big 3-run home run, and then he's back against the Phillies, his old club, in the National League Championship Series, and had an RBI double, which led to um, the winning RBI for that. And then, but in that particular year where he did get his second World Series ring, and the Giants beat Texas, of course. He didn't have a good series, but if you go back and watch any of the highlight shows and everything, he was the igniter in the clubhouse. He was the guy, the man that was, and that's pretty much, I guess, what his job was for. And he's the latter part of his career, and he was a catalyst and a key part for the Giants in that first World Series win. So I think he deserves to be put into our redemption stories as my number 4. So it's Pat
Yeah.
Burrell. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Good one.
Very good. Very good.
Terry.
Oh, I was just gonna say Pat Burrell didn't go without his drama. He was named a womanizer, but anyway.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay, so
not being one myself, I wouldn't know, but
that's that's part of his redemption.
Oh, come on, that's funny. Come on, that's funny.
All right.
I was smiling. I smiled.
This NFL quarterback is another Stanford player, former Stanford player. He was picked by the Patriots, didn't live up to his expectations there. Jumped around the league a little bit before joining the Oakland Raiders. And later down the road, he won 2 Super Bowls with them. That's Jim Plunkett.
Yeah.
He was a decent college quarterback. I mean, he was well known.
Decent. He won the Heisman. What do you mean, decent?
Well, it always happens. The Heisman doesn't always turn out to be the greatest player. Just depends
he
on the
won
class.
A lot of games with bad teams in New England and San Francisco too before he got to the Raiders.
It depends on the class, the college class that he played with. So he's shown. Anyway, that's my number 4 pick, Jim Plunkett.
Yeah, I agree. Good one.
Oakland Raiders.
I like that one.
I'm a closet Raider fan.
And plus his early childhood, his parents were deaf, and he did not have an easy childhood upbringing, and just to be able to get to Stanford was quite an accomplishment.
I didn't know that.
Get onto the field and rip that apart was really something else.
Both of his parents were deaf?
I think so. Yeah, at least one. I believe so. Yeah, at least one. I think maybe both. Yeah.
That's a CODA, C-O-D-A, child of deaf adults. I didn't know that. Well, I even have more respect for his redemption.
You heard it here first, Terry.
Yeah. Webby?
Okay. This one actually kind of hurt me. 2016 World Series. The ultimate game there. Cubs and Indians. I'm a huge Cubs fan. And early in the game, an outfielder for the Cleveland Indians, Rajai Davis, former Giant, he makes a key misplay, leading to a couple of runs for the Cubs. I, of course, was incredibly happy. But later in the game, when the Cubs had brought in their closer, Aroldis Chapman, he's throwing BBs, and Rajai Davis gets a hold of one and yanks it down the left field line just over the wall for a game-tying home run. I was devastated, but it was quite the redemption for Rajai Davis, who was the Indians' hero for a couple more innings until the Cubs ended up winning the World Series. But
Yeah.
yes, I would say that was quite a feat for Davis. Is very similar to Mazeroski. Neither one of them were big home run hitters, but they hit key home runs in World Series games. So
Did you just say the Cubs won a World Series?
I did
It
say that.
doesn't roll off your tongue very fast.
If you would like me to provide detail, we can do that in the next show. I'll just take up the entire hour to tell you about the Cubs World Series.
No, I heard you. Sorry, I was.
Okay,
You,
okay.
Excuse me. I
you know
heard
what?
you.
With regard to that series, I actually had honorable mention with that game. Dexter Fowler, who went 0 for 4 with 2 miserable strikeouts and just 4 horrible at bats that hit the home run in the 10th inning that put the Cubs ahead.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was one of my honorable mentions. But since we're on the series, it felt like a great segue.
Yes. Okay, we are through 2 rounds here. What are you doing now, Robbie?
Oh, it's my favorite segment of the show. It's a segment we like to call "What You Drinking," and as always, the Lowlifes are sponsored by our good friends at Almanac Brewing, Alameda, California. They are absolutely, without question, one of America's greatest craft brewers. Their accolades are will shower upon you as you walk through their building. But they have continued to sponsor this show blindly, and without remorse, I guess. So what we like to do at this point in the show is we always drink the almanac beers while we're sitting around BSing here, and we talk about the beers that we're drinking on top of that. And I'm still on the Porch Light Lager. We're getting almost out of the season for this beer, so if you have wanted to try the Porch Light Lager, like a moth to a light, you'll be drawn to this beer. Grab it now; it's going to be gone soon out of the market, and on to the next beer in the lager series. So it is delicious. Terry, you are chomping at the bit.
Well, I'm very, very refreshed with my Almanac Hefeweizen hugs, as they call it. Indulge in the crisp refreshment of its German style brew crafted with love and affection. Almanac hugs Hefeweizen.
Yeah, that is a good beer.
Delicious.
And
They
what,
never
what,
they never stop making this. Is that right? This is year round.
Yep.
Go in and get one.
But why we're still talking about German, because there's someone saying it's a German style. It's the Zaf pills. I'm sorry. Zaf. I'm sorry. Let me clean up. Sorry about
I can't believe you can't say that yet.
that.
Zap.
Zaf. You're leaving me speechless. Okay.
Marty, what kind of beer is that one?
That's a Pilsner.
Pills.
It's nice and refreshing. Contrary to the other great beer I had last week was the Rocktoberfest, which was how they could. I'm being a little facetious, but all very honest too. The dark beers, the light beers, the IPAs, or something. Almanac knocks these things out of the park. These are all great beers. They do a fantastic job. So, what are you drinking, Webby?
I am working
Still?
through a case of the Bunny Hill IPA.
I can't drink mine until you finish yours. When are you going to be done with that?
This is good. This is for you IPA drinkers. This is your training wheels IPA, your Bunny Hill IPA. It's how you get started down the path of loving IPAs. If the thought of an IPA is not appealing to you, start with this and work your way up to the Love Hazy, which is still my favorite beer that Almanac makes. So that's the one that's your goal. but this to me tastes more like a lager. Um, but it's a great IPA. That's all I can say. Um, in fact, the entire line of IPAs at Almanac is something that I've grown accustomed to, and I really like. So,
Excellent.
Robbie,
We got a caller with a what you drinking.
Cool.
What you drinking? Talk about redemption. I've made some age-induced errors today, so I need a redeemer, and that is a Porch Light Lager from
Nice.
Almanac. Because, like a moth to a light, I'm drawn to this beer. Cheers, boys.
Well, something like that.
Someday I'm going to get paid for that catchphrase.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it sounds better when JC says it. So
You want me to do it in German again? Anyway, we love Almanac. It's like I like to say now, my new catchphrase. It's not hyperbole. We actually really love these beers.
Yeah.
They are among the highest rated brewers in the country. We're proud to be sponsored by them. They're ashamed to be sponsoring us, so it's worked out very well for everybody so far. If you get the chance to get to Alameda, California, stop by the brewery. It's a great place. It's a fun facility, and they're amazing people. They're great beers to try. They love to talk beer with people. And if you tell them you heard about them from the highlights from Lowlife show, they'll take pity upon you. I guarantee you.
Prost.
all right, into round 3. Hey, I'm going to start this one off, and I'm going to start it off with the incident which led us to this topic in the first place. The idea of redeeming yourself within one baseball game. If you want to see the epitome of this, it was San Francisco Giant Bob Brenly on September 14th, 1986. Bob, who was normally a catcher, was tasked with playing third base that day, and that was not a good decision. Bob made 4 errors at third base during the course of the game, some fielding, some throwing. Just an overall disaster of a game. But in the 7th inning, Bob hit a game tying home run to put the Giants right back into it. And in the 9th inning, he hit a game winning single to put him over the top. And I still remember in the post game interview, he was kind of like telling the reporters, "Why over here? I don't want to talk about the bad things. Let's just talk about the good things." But of course, they in the interview they talked about having never seen anything quite like that before. To have so many bad things go for you so early in a game, and then to not only redeem yourself once but twice in the same game. So that's my number 3.
Did you ever hear Mike Lacoste? He was the pitcher that day. He's like, I was doing everything I could to not let them hit it over there. I'd throw it down and away, but I guess I would fool them and they'd be out in front of the pitch.
Yeah, yep.
He throw it
Roll
up and
over on
in.
it. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
no matter where he threw it, everybody was hitting the ball to the left side.
It was a disaster. Yeah, yeah. Felt really bad for the guy, and even felt like maybe pull him out and put somebody else at third. It's there's too much pressure at that point to do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
But it all worked out. Okay, hey Tara, what you got for number 3?
My number 3 is it's Peyton Manning. He suffered 4 neck injuries and was a physical shell of his former self and still dominated for 4 years. So,
Yeah,
and his dad broke his arm. I mean, the Manning family's had a lot of good injuries. What was the name of just NFL trivia? Who was the quarterback who got his leg 4 his calf broken on a rollover.
Theismann?
Who?
Theismann.
Joe Theismann.
Joe Theismann. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just the thought. Okay, sorry. Peyton Manning, 4 back injuries, came back, still dominated for 4 years after his
Good one.
rehab.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good one. Mm-hmm.
Marty, have you gone?
No, not yet.
Number
We're
3.
going to talk about another Stanford player. How about that? This one, he's a little more under the radar, so to speak. He played pro baseball. He was with the Phillies in 2008. His name was Eric Bruntlett.
Oh,
And he just he was the utility guy. He sat on the bench. He played a little bit when he was guys were out or they that fill in player, and he didn't hit very well. His last season, he was just 171 as a second baseman, and so here's the guy that can redeem himself. He said it's part of the Brentley story in one game. In the ninth inning on August 23rd, 2008, the ninth inning, he made 2 errors in the field. Tied, caused the game to go into extra innings. So what happened? But what happens in the following inning? He did something that didn't happen until before. The prior year it happened was 1927. An unassisted triple play. Against the Detroit Tigers, 2 on, nobody out, and the Tigers were trying to win the game, so they were. It was a hit and run. They were off with the pitch. Bruntlett was the second baseman, and the line drive right to him. Got to the base to tag off the guy at second, and then to tag the runner on the base path. Unassisted triple play
to save the game.
To save the game. They went on to win, and at the end of the season, he was let go.
Yeah.
But for that one moment, this, I'm not going to downplay it. He's a major league ball player, but he was just always going to hang in there. And now he's in the record books as the last guy to have an unassisted triple play. Again, Eric Bruntlett. So it sounds like someone that I can get behind. So
Oh yeah.
as you guys have seen me play. So what the heck?
Yeah.
So he's my number 3.
So Marty, and you probably remember this, when the Lowlifes went on their Cooperstown trip in 2021, there is a display of all of the other people who have turned unassisted triple plays, but Bruntlett's is the only one they have on video.
Yeah.
So they play it on loop in the display, showing over and over again: line drive, caught, step on the bag, tag the runner, everybody's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an awesome play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's got to work right at the exact same time. So.
Yeah.
Is that because of modern video that they have?
Oh yeah, like I said, last time was the guy's name was Johnny Neum, Neun, with the Detroit Tigers back in 1927.
When was the last triple play?
And this happened unassisted. In 2009.
When was the last unassisted triple play?
He just told you.
Oh,
2009. Yep. Bruntlett.
Bruntlett. This was the last one. And what about before that? When was the next
1927.
See,
Rabbit Moranville did it in the tour of Japan too. Just saying.
They didn't have full video coverage then.
Yeah.
That's right.
They were probably laughing. All right, Rabbit Man, go for it.
All right. I love this one. I think the whole country was captivated. 1986, when Jack Nicklaus arrived at Augusta, he had not won a major in 6 years. He had only won like one tournament in 5 years, and that was his own tournament, the Memorial, which is played on his home course. where he actually has a house. But to make it worse, when he arrived there in Augusta that year, there was an article in the paper. A sports writer wrote that Jack Nicklaus was done. That this was a ceremonial appearance for him. So the first round, Nicholas hit a 74. Now, mind you, he's 46 years old, which by any professional sport age is pretty old, but very old for golf in terms of being competitive. He shot a 74 in the first round, bounced back with a 71 in the second round, which, was kind of middle of the pack. But at the end of the second round, he was only 6 strokes off the lead. So the third round, he put up a 69, and a couple of people started talking about it. I think Jim Nance was one of them. Like, he's starting to find his groove. And I don't know if you guys were watching or not. I wasn't a huge golf viewer at the time, but there was something special. You could tell, and he he didn't really make up any holes on the final day on the first 8 holes, but like suddenly he birdied 9, 10, and 11. Um, Dropped a bogey at 12, but old time Jack Nicklaus came back, a birdie at 13, eagle at 15, birdie at 16, birdie at 17, and boom, just like that, he was in the lead going to the final hole. Um, I think Greg Norman and Seve Ballesteros and Tom Kite were all right behind him 1 stroke. They all bogeyed. Nicholas Pard and 46-year-old, he's done. He's only ceremonial. Jack Nicklaus won that tournament, and it was amazing. He finished with a 65, lowest score that day. And I don't. If you were watching it, it was something breathtaking. There was just the way the crowd reacted because he wasn't always the most beloved golfer by the fans because he was very stern and machine like. But I something changed that day when he won that tournament. He became a national hero even more so than he was already, and it was impressive. And just
Hey,
I,
Father Jack, you must have made a deal with the devil.
it was absolutely breathtaking. And it was a great the final major tournament they won in his career. But it was just what a great redemption story for a guy that a legend that people had written off
Robbie,
and he
what was his age again?
what's that?
What was his age again?
46.
46.
So the minimum age to participate in the PGA Tour Senior Tour is 50.
But
So he
I
was
mean, the
only
sports writer theoretically wasn't wrong. Most of the guys playing in their 40s are just trying to get to the senior tour, and they're trying to finish in the top 25 every week just
right.
to
So
keep in the
they
money.
want to qualify.
Yeah. So Nicholas, they wrote him off, and then I thought that was spectacular. And just watching it live, I still have vivid memories of watching it. It was great. So there you go.
Cool.
Webby, what do you got? Oh, I was it, huh?
Yeah. Let's see. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case,
Yeah, I started that round. That's right. Okay. We go on to round two. Let's see. Marty, start us off.
I wasn't aware of this until I started doing a little digging. And it doesn't, I really am not a fan of this guy, but I have to admire what happened. John Carlos Stanton, um, back in,
Mike, as we call him.
oh, okay. Back in 2014, played for the Marlins. And Milwaukee had a pitcher by the name of Mike Fears. And Mike Fears hit Stanton that day in the head and caused some lacerations, some dental work, and put him out for the season. These caca happens. Fast forward 4 years. Stanton is now with the Yankees, and Fears is now with the Tigers, and they're facing each other again. Fear hits him again, causing Stanton to go down. Here's the redemption part. Guess what happens at Stan's next at bat? Boom! Over the left field fence. And I had to replay it again just to see the backflip. He was just, and glared at the pitcher, not down to first, all the way around the base.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. There was 4 years that it happened, and ironically, here they are again. He got belt. It says I don't. Would I carry a grudge like that? Hell yeah, yeah, sure. You know, not a big Yankee fan, not a big John Carlos Stanton fan, but yeah, I got you. I like that one. That was good. Webby, what do you got?
So back to football. Um, guys, think back to 2014. The Packers are playing the Seahawks in a championship game,
Yeah, great game. That was a fun
and
game.
Russell Wilson, the Seahawks quarterback, gets off to one of the worst starts I've ever seen. It's almost as if he had forgotten the playbook and how to throw. They are into the fourth quarter. He has thrown 4 interceptions already. There was talk by the announcers of having him benched because they said, "This isn't. How can this guy possibly bring us back?" They were down 19-7, so they're still within striking range, and suddenly it's as if somebody turned on a light switch. Suddenly, Russell Wilson is a quarterback again. He's completing a lot of short passes, drove him down the field for a touchdown. They got the ball back shortly after that, and again, drove him down the field and got another touchdown. And the Seahawks ended up winning that game. But if you were looking at the stats at halftime, you'd have said, "What was he throwing with the other hand? What happened here?" So just 2 games in one game for him. Terrible in the first 3 quarters, awesome in that final quarter. So that's my number 2 there. Robbie?
All right, I'm not going to have to go into much detail about this, but I do think the redemption story here is different in terms of while this team went through and took some lumps in the qualifying rounds and some of the exhibition games they played. I mean, they got the crap kicked out of them, frankly. So for them as a team, it was very much a redemption story. But this might have been, and it's reminds me of the current political climate. We were a very, very, very divided country. There was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions about what's coming next, where are we headed. But this team, the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team, I mean, it was redemption for the country. It brought
Yep.
everybody together. No one could turn away. I mean, I remember people still had landline phones, but people were calling each other saying, "Hey, you got to turn this on. We might beat Russia." And that hadn't happened since 1960, when another miracle story of its own. But people were calling each other and they were going crazy. And when they beat Russia, I mean, people were outside honking horns and making all sorts of noise. They played that Finland game, and that may be the most watched hockey game in the United States ever, when they played Finland in the championship and won the gold. So for the United States itself, that was a huge redemption story. And man, we need a miracle team right about now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and the funny thing is that I was in college when that happened, and somebody just yelled it out in the cafeteria that we beat the Russians because 3 or 4 days beforehand they played the Russians in an exhibition match in Madison Square Garden, and the final score was like 10-2. They just got crushed.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, the great Kurt Russell did a great job as being the coach in that movie too. So that's a
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, come on! Anytime you need a pick me up, you think things are down or things are bad, pull that one up. Pull that one up on Netflix. Watch that. That'll lift your spirits.
Yeah.
Nothing
yeah.
like a childhood Disney actor to lift your spirits.
Yep.
That's
He should
right.
have wore tennis shoes.
Yeah.
No, no,
Or,
no.
or either that'll shoot you at the OK Corral, right?
Yeah. But that totally changed the tone of the country after that win.
oh
So
yeah.
it was
Oh yeah.
spectacular. Yeah.
Real tough times. It really
Yep.
was. Yep.
Yep.
All right.
So
Everybody, with Terry, you still got one for this
I
round?
think Terry should have one, right?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a number. I have a number 2. This was an NFL player. Back in 1974, he was a Pro Bowler. he almost lost his leg playing in a flag football celebrity game.
Yeah.
This is Robert Edwards.
Yeah.
He almost lost his leg playing, and 4 years later, he came back and played 4 more years. So that's a good redemption.
That
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
flag football is a dangerous, dangerous sport.
Flag football, yes.
So I was reading about that, Tara. I guess what happened was blood was not flowing in the leg at a certain point, and it was pooling up in one section, and they had to release the pressure, or he loses the leg.
Due to a vascular injury, was said to have been minutes away from losing his leg.
Wow.
Yeah, scary stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
we've gotten through 4 rounds. I want to talk to you about one of the other shows on the Mic'd Up platform. Um, Actually, I want to talk to you about a person on the Mic'd Up platform who now is doing multiple shows. We've talked about Jim Darby before. Jim is a former executive with Easton Sports. He marketed Easton and Mizuno for years. And he's also an accomplished author, having written a few books. One of them being Bears in the Bigs. It's about former Cal Bear baseball players who made it to the big leagues. Jim is the voice of the Cal Bears for all of their games here in the Bay Area. And he has taken on a second show on the network. He is the host of Inside Cal Baseball. There's been about 2 or 3 episodes of that. If you look in the archive here on the app, you can watch them. He's interviewing players and coaches from the team. And still, he's doing his own show, the Jim Darby Show, where he talks about his time with Easton and the people he met. He started from nothing. I think the first contract he signed was with Dusty Baker back in the day. Dusty was one of the first players to sign with Easton, and Jim got him. So look for his shows in the upcoming list on the Mic'd Up app. All right. Hey, let's go to round 1. Tara, who starts off?
Marty, number 1.
Uh,
Ah, ah.
I was going through my latest issue of memories from the Hall of Fame. I'm sure you all get this because I'm sure you're all members of the Hall of Fame.
Indeed.
Okay, and and and, and I was just reading through it earlier today, and I just kind of thought because the person who we're talking about here is just being inducted into the Hall. Should have been years earlier, but at least it's happening. He was a Rookie of the Year in 1964. How do you become Rookie of the Year? And then an MVP of the league. And I'm kind of doing this a little backwards. I'm sorry. But a man who, in his rookie year, led the league in errors at 41. 41
Ouch.
errors as a rookie. But that didn't stop Dick Allen. He led that same year he led the league in runs, triples, extra base hits, and total bases. But again, I'm familiar with the position at third base. 41 errors. Went on to be,
Ouch.
but still went on to be the Rookie of the Year, MVP in 1972, and at long last, a member of the Hall of Fame.
What was his batting average?
It didn't state that batting average for that year. I should have looked it up on the statistics and
Yeah,
found it.
he wasn't a great batting average guy. He was all about power.
He was all about
Yeah.
power, and so
So
Do you guys
that one
remember
really
when he
hit me.
came? Yeah. Marty, do you remember when he came to play in the Bay Area?
For the A's.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this was during Charlie Finley's years,
Mm-hmm.
and Allen was towards the end of his career.
Right.
Charlie liked to be a bit of a showman. He found out where Dick Allen grew up. It was a town called Wampum.
Wampum in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yep. So that was Dick's name on the back of his jersey, Wampum.
I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
actually, Wampum's not that far from Pittsburgh, I understand. If we would need to take a side trip one afternoon.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
There we go. There we
Mhm.
go. Tiger, what's number one?
Okay, my number one is an NFLer. He came into the league on a $100 million contract. Soon after that, he was in jail making 12 cents an hour. He got thrown in jail for dog fighting charges, bankrupt. He owed $10 million and $50 million after he filed bankruptcy. He owed creditors $20 million. His wages are still garnished at this point on his NFL paycheck. That's Michael Vick. I am not a fan, but his shortcomings doesn't affect his football playing. Honestly,
Yeah.
he's he's an idiot for getting into the dog fighting business. Yeah, he was in jail for 19 months according to this.
Yep.
He says was spending recklessly like Richard Pryor in Brewster's Millions. He blew it all. Anyway, number one for me was Michael Vick, and I'll give him a break. He did create the running quarterback. He was one of the
Yep.
modern running quarterbacks, which totally messed up. It made the middle linebacker actually have to cover the quarterback.
Yep.
Who's the other running quarterback? Current. He's a young guy. He's really good, fast.
Baltimore's. Come on.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they've those two guys have changed the running game in the NFL. That's my number one. Robbie?
All right, my number one. I put him number one because it's sort of personal. John Lester. He was a rookie with the Red Sox in 2006. He was having some back problems, and they thought it was related to a car accident he had been in a few years prior. But it turned out that it wasn't that. They did some testing and found out that he actually had cancer. He had lymphoma.
Mm.
So, I mean, for a guy 23 years old, you don't normally talk about, you talk about elbow injuries and shoulder injuries. You don't talk about cancer. So he went through the cancer treatment. He fought for months, and he battled back. Uh, about a year later, he was the Game 4 starter in the Red Sox World Series clinching game against the Colorado Rockies, which was just truly a remarkable story. He was also the starting pitcher in 2016 for the Cubs in Game 7. So, I mean, really defeating cancer. I mean, what better redemption is that, right? I mean, and I'm
Yeah.
speaking personally here because for those of you that have heard me talk about my wife having cancer over the last several months and 70 whatever thousand episodes we've done. Last week we got the news that her cancer is at zero residual numbers. So she's just moving into recovery and maintenance now. So John Lester and my wife beat that crap. So
Excellent.
there we go.
Excellent.
I stand up for Vonnie.
And sit down for
Yes.
nachos.
Yeah.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
and
That too.
nachos.
All right, so John Lester's my number one for a very obvious reason. Webby?
Cool. All right. Got to finish up and make you guys smile.
That's
2019. Oh, yeah. 2019 NLDS, Nationals and Dodgers. Early on, Howie Kendrick makes a huge error.
Mm.
It lets the Dodgers take the lead. But he redeems himself later by crushing the Dodgers with a grand slam home run, which sent the Nationals on to the World Series.
Yep.
So I remember hearing people in other houses around me cheering. I said, I bet they're watching the game.
That was me 35 miles away.
Yes. So that's our list, and I'm sure there's oodles of honorable mentions that we could go into, but it looks like we have some comments to play in. Rob,
Yeah.
Cool.
One of our favorite lowlifes, JC, checks in.
JC here. All baseball this time. Number 5, August 28th, 2023. Braves at Rockies. Ronald Acuna Jr. drops a routine fly ball to right. Hey, feels like deja vu all over, doesn't it, Ronald? Tying run scores. Next inning, he hits a 2-run homer to right center to redeem.
Very good. That's a good one.
JC number 4, April 6, 2017. Indians at Rangers. Indians up by 1, 2 outs, 2 on, slow hopper to Lindor. He grabs it, tries to beat the runner to second, can't, throws to Encarnacion, who can't catch it. 1-run lead becomes a 1-run deficit. Down by 2 in the 9th, he hits a grand slam, which eventually becomes the game winner. Redemption. Teoscar Hernandez for the Blue Jays, April 15, 2019, at the Twinkies. He singles, is at first. The next batter takes a 2-2 pitch low, and the batter starts to take off his armor. Teoscar strolls to second, realizes his mistake, but is tagged out, coming back to first. Top of the 8th, Blue Jays down 3-2. Teoscar hits a 3-run home run, which eventually becomes the game winner.
Wow, he's rolling here.
He is.
No
these are
overlap.
good. These are like he's such a great
JC number
storyteller.
2, October 2015, Game 1 of the World Series, Royals Hosmer playing first base botches a Wilmer Flores grounder, and the Mets take the lead in the 8th. But in the 14th, Hosmer comes up, hits a sac fly to win Game 1 of that series. Redemption.
Just like a lawyer,
Redemption.
selling it with the
Yeah.
last redemption.
Yes.
Just reminding you of the topic.
Yep.
Mhm.
Number 1, Jonah Heim, former Stockton Port and now all-star catcher for the Rangers, opening day last year at Arlington against the Cubs. In the 9th, it's 2-2 with 2 on. Cub first pitch swinging on a changeup. Ball gets away from Heim. He turns to argue with the umpire that it was fouled. Ball's just sitting there. Runner scampers home from second. Want to get away? But in the bottom of the 10th, bases loaded, double to win the game.
Hey,
Yeah, good picks.
good job.
That's good.
Now we got a call in from Vonnie.
Ooh.
Thank you guys so very, very much for all your love and support during my cancer journey. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do it without all of you guys and watching all of your episodes. I've been with you all 80 episodes, and thank you for being there for me. Love you guys and the audience
right.
as well, your supporters. Love.
We love you too, Vonnie, and this
Yeah.
proves to everybody out there that we have at least 2 fans. All right. Guys want to go? We got a little bit of time. We can go through a couple of honorable mentions if you got anything fun.
Alex Smith.
Oh yeah, great pick.
Yeah, after what that guy went through, to save his own leg, to come back to walk, and he tried to go back and play ball, didn't quite make it, but just the tenacity, just to save your leg. My God, Alex.
Actually, Marty, he did make it back. He took a Redskins team to the playoffs. Didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but he was responsible for that team getting into the playoffs. So yeah, great. Yeah.
It was a
For
great
those who
comeback.
don't know the background story, his leg was shattered, and the scars on his leg after the surgery is it's not for those who can't handle the grossness. It was terrible. Yeah.
And there was rumors that there whatever chemicals they were using on the field got into the leg, and it was just it wasn't going well at all. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, yeah, just a tremendous.
Yeah,
Well,
it was a great comeback on his part.
yeah. There's a play that we talk about a lot on this show for various reasons. Um, the famous Jose Canseco home run off the top of his head. We all laugh at that, including Jose. So that's fair. But what most people don't know is that he did hit a game-tying home run later in the game to kind of sort of make up for taking one off the noggin. I look at that play over and over again. I'm saying to myself, if somebody hit a home run off the top of my head, would I still be conscious? He was laughing. He was laughing a couple seconds later. Oh, what happened? Okay, no. So
You know
yeah.
the only guy that doesn't laugh at that, and he's been on MLB Network as a talking head. Kevin Kennedy, he was the manager of the Rangers at the time, and he was furious. He was furious that Canseco was laughing. That because we just fell behind in a game we need to win. It wasn't
Hmm.
funny to Kevin Kennedy. Everybody else in the world thinks it's funny. Kevin Kennedy still to this day was not pleased.
Yes,
And it
yes,
was less about the error, it was all about his reaction to it.
yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, you guys got anything else?
I had Jim Eisenreich.
Oh,
I almost used him because he was a hotshot rookie, came up with the Twins, 300 hitter, took over the center field job, and then um, he had a lifetime issue with Tourette's, and it got in his head, and he was worried that that's all people were seeing when he was on the field. He was out of baseball for 3 years, dealing with it and getting it treated and learning how to uh, coping mechanisms and the whole thing. And he came back with the Royals, and eventually won a World Series, right?
I think
And
so. Yeah.
with the Marlins, yeah, he had a home run in the World Series. He was a great player for Kansas City for many years. Kind of a 300 hitter and an outstanding defender, and he now I guess his since he's retired, his entire life is uh, baseball with kids with Tourette's, like charitable
Perfect.
organization, teaching them how to cope and all the things that he did, so they can kind of assimilate. So it was just, yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive what he did. I was a
Hmm.
big fan of that.
Good one. Good
Yeah.
one. All right, guys. I think we have run our course. Um, we'll be back here next week with another episode of Highlights from the Lowlifes.
We'll probably do
Wednesday.
something hateful and funny.
Yeah, hateful and funny.
We've had enough of
It,
this uplifting redemption
Yeah,
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So tell
it's
your friends,
it's our
hateful and funny next week. Hateful.
it's our sweet spot. I don't know if you people that are watching us like this, but it's what we like, and that's all that matters. So next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific. Look in the app. As soon as the show is posted, you'll get a notification, and you'll see what we're going to talk about. All right.
Thank you,
Hey, thanks
Almanac.
for joining us. Yeah, thank you, Almanac.
Hmm.
Robbie, play us out.